You guys out there playing? They out there playing? Could you call him in? Please. عليكم السلام ورحمة الله. الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. نعم. Now, so this is class 6 of this Tafseer and Mukhtasar fi Tafseer al-Qur'an. It's class number 6. And we've reached the 14th ayah of Surah Al-Baqarah, which is on the 2nd page of Surah Al-Baqarah, the 3rd page of the Quran. First page is Al-Fatiha. The 2nd page is the first 5 ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah, and the 3rd page is the 6 through 16, 11 ayat. Now, so now we're at the statement of Allah Ta'ala where He says, Afwan. Now, وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قالوا آمنا وإذا خلوا إلى شياطينهم قالوا إنا معكم إنما نحن مستهزئون. Right? And when they meet the hypocrites, when they meet the believers, they say we believe. When they meet the believers, they say we believe. In this ayah, where Allah Ta'ala confirms their claim of Iman, while negating the reality of Iman, it shows the importance of correcting the understanding of the hadith. Man qala la ilaha illallah dakhala al-jannah. Whoever said la ilaha illallah will enter the Jannah. It's not like that. It's not simply like that, where a person is just going to say la ilaha illallah and go to Jannah without there being conditions that follows the person saying la ilaha illallah. The first thing is that, as we mentioned before, Iman. The reality of Iman. Wa alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Nicole. The reality of Iman. Iman is qawlun bil lisan. Meaning the person, as long as he's able to say it, he has to say it. However, even though it's mentioned in this order, it doesn't go in this order. And the order it goes in the books of Manhaj, qawlun bil lisan, wa tasdiqun bil jinan, wal amal bil jawarih wal arkan. That Iman is a statement on the tongue, belief in the heart, and actions with the limbs. But it doesn't go in that order. The real order that it goes in, that Iman is belief in the heart, then the statement on the tongue. Because the belief is what causes the person to make the statement. And the statement is not what causes the person to believe. So if we're going to mention what Iman is, mahiyat al-Iman, meaning the nucleus of Iman, then it's tasdiqun bil jinan. It's or janan. It's to believe with the heart, the heart. So this belief is not accepted if a person refuses to profess it. It's not going to profess his belief. It's not going to announce his belief. Then we cannot affirm for this person Iman. And this goes for everyone who tries to make their favorite movie star or singer a Muslim. by doing things that resembles the actions of the Muslim. He died a Muslim. How do you know? Did you heard him that he said he was a Muslim? No. But look at the things he was doing. Until we know from that person Islam, if the origin of that person is that he was a kafir, he's a kafir. Likewise, the other way around. We know for someone that they are a Muslim and they pass away, they die, then they're a Muslim until otherwise is proven. We do not attribute Iman or Kufr to someone based on, oh, I think he was a Muslim and like that. And many people do that emotionally because they're in love with these fusaq, with these criminals, these corrupt individuals, and they want them to be Muslim because they are in love and emotionally involved in their acting and their singing and things like this. Oh, he was a Muslim. He used to give charity. No. An Iman, tasdeequn bil qalb. First, the person has to believe in their heart. And that's not accepted until after he believes it, he announces it. La ilaha illallah, ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Because remember, the Shahada is one pillar, although it's two. It's two Shahadas, but it's one pillar. Shahada, Allah ilaha illallah, to bear witness nothing has the right to be worshipped except Allah, and ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and his messenger. So that is Iman. وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا. Okay, but what happens? Muslims, especially the youth, be careful. Be careful. One of the fundamentals of this religion that is a part of Iman, is from the obligations of Iman, is al-wala wal-bara. Al-wala wal-bara, which is what? Allegiance and disallegiance or disassociation. So we show our wala, our allegiance to the Muslims. Qalban wa qaliban, inside and out. Our allegiance is to the Muslims. Our allegiance is to the Muslims based on Iman, based on faith, not based on anything else. And our disallegiance is toward everybody that's not a Muslim. We have no allegiance to anybody that's not a Muslim. It doesn't mean we don't deal justly and kindly with people that are not Muslim, but they are not our allies. They are not our allies. And this is important because our youth, we're losing our youth to al-wala wal-bara. We're losing our youth to al-wala wal-bara, to allegiance and disallegiance. How is that? Look at this characteristic of the hypocrite. وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا. And if they meet those who believe, they say, we believe. Right? Then Allah Ta'ala said, alaykum as-salam wa rahmatullah. وَإِذَا خَلَوْا إِلَى شَيَاطِينِهِمْ. Allah Ta'ala called those kuffar that they deal with their devils. And then when they're in private with their devils. So, youth, do not betray yourselves, believing you're deceiving your family and your parents. That you have the behavior and the speech and the actions of the Muslims as long as you're around the Muslims. And then if you've been tested and tried to be in a non-Muslim school, in a Kafir school, then you're with them, and the kuffar children may entice you away from your religion. You really want to wear that? You really want to go there? You really want to do that? You really believe that stuff? And out of peer pressure, you begin saying, no, man, my parents make me do it. You've been saying that. Now you have shown, you have freed yourself from the Muslims. This is dangerous, especially for those children who reach puberty, because you're responsible for that statement and action now, not your parents. So now we have to understand, we never get in a position where unless your life is in danger. This is the only condition. Your life is in danger, now you have a choice. To say exactly what's in your heart or to deceive them in order to save yourself. Your life is in danger. That's it. But just doing it out of choice, out of being close to them and being friends with them, this is kufr. It's kufr, it's disbelief. To be with the Muslims, Naam la ilaha illallah, and then be with the kuffar. I don't really believe that stuff. I grew up, my parents make me do it. And this is why it's so important for the parents to make sure they keep their children around those of their iman, those of the same faith, those of the same practice. It's very important, because if you do not control the input, then you have definitely no control over the outcome. In order to have some type of influence on the outcome, you have to have control over the input. You have to have, Malcolm X said in one of his speeches, Rahimahullah Ta'ala, how could you send your children at their younger years to be educated by your enemy? Reality. They're going to groom them to be against their origin. In another ayah, Allah Ta'ala talks about that. Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Ali Imran, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, la tattakhidhu bitanatan min dunikum. Do not take close advisors. Bitana because it's from batana, that which is inside, like stomach, the most central part of your body, batan. And Allah Ta'ala is al-batin, al-zahiru wal-batinu, right? He's the most obvious and the most hidden at the same time. SubhanAllah. Allah is the most obvious, al-zahiru wal-batinu, and the most hidden at the same time. He's obvious in everything that He's revealed to us, and hidden in everything that He did not reveal to us. SubhanAllah. So whatever Allah Ta'ala made about Himself known, it's clear. And whatever Allah Ta'ala did not choose to make known about Himself, is no way to find out. Al-Zahiru wal-Batin. SubhanAllah. He said, La tattakhidhu bitanatan min dunikum. Do not take close, intimate advisors from those who are not from your ranks. La ya'lunukum khabala. They will not cease to set up traps for you. What do ma anittum? They wish to put you in difficulty. قَدْ بَدَتِ الْبَغْضَاءُ مِنْ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. The hatred and enmity has already appeared from their mouths. وَمَا تُخْفِي صُدُورُهُمْ أَكْبَرُ. And what their hearts conceal is greater than that. قَدْ بَيَّنَّا لَكُمُ الْآيَاتِ إِن كُنتُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ. We have made the ayat clear for you if you only had sense. ها أنتم أولئك تحبونهم ولا يحبونكم وتؤمنون بالكتاب كله. You are those who love them, but they don't love you, while you believe in all of them. وإذا لقوكم قالوا آمنا. And if they meet you, they say we believe. وإذا خلوا عضوا عليكم الأنامل من الغيظ. But when they're away from you, they bite off their very fingertips in rage. Say, die in your rage. Inna Allah alimun bi dhati as-sudur. Allah Ta'ala has knowledge of what goes on in the breast of men. And tamsaskum hasanatun tasu'hum. When good befalls you, it bothers them, it irritates them. SubhanAllah. وَإِن تُصِبَكُمْ سَيِّئَةٌ يَفْرَحُوا بِهَا. But when calamity befalls you, they become rejoiced, they become happy about it. وَإِن تَصْبِرُوا وَتَتَّقُوا لَا يَضُرُّكُمْ كَيْدُهُمْ شَيْئًا. But if you are patient, and have taqwa, their plots will not have any effect upon you. Inna Allah alimun. Inna Allah bima ya'maluna muhit. Indeed, Allah Ta'ala encompasses everything that they do. So no, this is the reality. In Baqarah, Allah Ta'ala told us. And Ali Imran. And Mumtahan. Over and over again, warns us. But we are fooled by outward behavior. A snake is one of the smoothest animals. If you touch it, it's soft to touch, but its bite is what? Soft to touch. Looks harmless. No claws, no things that you can see when you see it. Looks harmless. Can't grab you, seemingly. But as soon as you reach out to it, puts the poison right in you or wraps around you and squeezes you to death. Careful. So, al-wala wal-bara. So these are individuals. When they're with the Muslims, they say one thing. When they're with the kuffar, they say other than that. And Allah Ta'ala exposes them over and over again in the Qur'an. Now, afwan. It says, وإذا التقوا المؤمنين قالوا صدقنا بما تؤمنون به. So when they meet the believers, they say, we confirm. صدقنا. We confirm, we affirm what you believe in. ويقولون ذلك خوف من المؤمنين. And they only say that out of fear. And it's not always out of fear. It's said by the hypocrites out of fear when the Muslims are uppermost in the land. Said out of fear when the Muslims are uppermost in the land. However, when the Muslims are not uppermost in the land, when they're weak, it's said out of ghadab, out of deception, just to deceive the believers, to make the believers feel safe when they are not in a situation of safety. Now, يقولون ذلك خوفا من المؤمنين وإذا انصرفوا عن المؤمنين إلى رؤسائهم منفردين بهم قالوا مؤكدين فبعدهم على متابعتهم لهم إنا معكم على طريقتكم ولكننا نواثق المؤمنين ظاهرا سخرية بهم واستهزاء. Right? So the ulama are explaining here, but when they turn away, when they go away from the believers, and they're with the heads, they're along with their heads, their leaders of hypocrisy, they say to them, emphasizing and reassuring them that they are firmly upon what they are upon, and they are surely following them in what they are upon. They say, indeed, we are with you and we are upon your path. However, we only agree with the believers, apparently, outwardly, in order to make mockery and make fun of them. Ya ikhwa, akhwat, if this was the case during the life of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what do you think we're dealing with today? If they were this diligent at trying to deceive the believers, and set traps and they traps to the believers. One of the most devious and dangerous traps, don't be fooled, I saw on YouTube, Caucasian man announcing his apostasy. 4 years before he announced his apostasy, or maybe 6 years, he was on YouTube announcing his Islam. Never saw this before. From the moment he decided to embrace Islam, he began filming. Every single minute he could of his Islam. I'm going to become a Muslim today. He filmed. He went to the masjid. I'm taking Shahada. He took Shahada. I'm reading this book. But until he began to doubt and he began casting. He filmed his whole Islamic experience till the day he apostated and said, I'm no longer a Muslim. Do you think he was really a Muslim from day one? Allah Ta'ala warns us in Surah Ali Imran. وقالت طائفة من أهل الكتاب آمنوا بالذي أنزل على الذين آمنوا وجه النهار واكفروا آخره لعلهم يرجعون. And a group of the people of the book said, believe in what those believers believe in the beginning of the day, and then disbelieve at the end of the day, perhaps it will turn them around. There are people who actually fake embracing Islam so that they can later fake apostasy to shake the stability of the Muslims. So when a Muslim, why did you stop becoming Muslim? Oh, did you see that man? Did you see that? And they act like they believed firmly and then disbelieved. They entered as kuffar, planning to exit in order to shake the believers. This was revealed to the Prophet then. So what about now? So what about now? And this is why we see one of the Tafseer of Surah Al-Nasr. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ وَرَأَيْتَ النَّاسَ يَدْخُلُونَ فِي دِينِ اللَّهِ أَفْوَاجًا. When there comes the help of Allah in His victory, and you see the people entering into the religion of Allah in groups. قال أحد المفسرين from the Sahaba. One of the scholars of Tafseer from the companions said, يَدْخُلُونَ أَفْوَاجًا وَيَخْرُجُونَ أَفْوَاجًا. They're going to enter into crowds, and enter into Islamic crowds, and they're going to leave in crowds. Shouldn't shake you up. It shouldn't shake you up. This is the reality. They will enter in groves and leave in groves. Shouldn't shake you up. Because when you hear a person, I don't know if anyone has ever talked to someone that apostated from Islam. When you hear a person who apostates from Islam, they never have a reason. However, you're going to find that many of them, their reason for entering and their reason for exiting is the same. Just listen, they're going to tell them themselves. You hear a woman say, I'm not Muslim no more. I thought Muslim men were different. But I found out Muslim men beat their wives. Muslim men, they're just like Christian men. They're just like, oh, she became Muslim for a man. So she left because of a man. But if she became Muslim to worship Allah, that, let's say she had a bad Muslim husband that beat her. What does that have to do with praying 5 times a day? He beat you. What does that have to do with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Oh, he didn't provide for you. What did it have to do with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So if she came in to worship Allah, she would have left that person that oppressed her and kept worshiping Allah because it wasn't because of Allah. As Surah Al-Ankabut, Allah Ta'ala said what? And they treat the oppression of man as if it was the punishment of Allah. It's the oppression of a human being. Has nothing to do with Allah Ta'ala's punishment. That human did that. That human did that. I had a relative, very close relative, that I spoke to last year. No, earlier this year. That just returned back to Islam, apostated and returned to Islam. So I said to this relative, good. It's good you apostate. Why did you apostate? He said, I was stressed out and it was burdens on me and I felt like I was too young. And I said, I'm only 14. Why did Allah do this to me? And, explained like that. I said, yeah, well, that was good. So he was bewildered. How can I say that was good? I said, when you were going through what you were going through as a Muslim, and then you decided to apostate, that was the correct choice with a condition. In order for your apostasy to be the correct choice, to go to another religion because of you're going through trials and tribulation, in order for that to be a correct choice, you would have to be able to prove that whatever religion you're going to, nobody in that religion goes through similar to what you want to. Would have to be the answer. Because if you're leaving Islam because of trials and tribulations that you're going through, to a religion where there are people that believe in that religion that also go through trials and tribulations, where are you going? This shows that this is al-qadr al-qawni. This is Allah Ta'ala's natural decree that everybody, if you're homeless Muslims, homeless Christians, homeless Jews, homeless Buddhists, criminal Muslims, criminal Christians, criminal Jews, criminal Buddhists, so there's no escape from going through trials. This dunya is dar al-aqdar wal-ibtila. This is the station of trials and tribulations, this whole world, no matter what your deed is. So you can't leave a religion because of trials and go to another religion. There was a sister that needed advice because of a friend of hers came back from overseas and she's thinking about leaving Islam. Could you please talk to her? I said, can I get some history on this sister? She said, yeah, what do you want to know? I said, how did she become a Muslim? She said, well, she's from South Carolina and her family were, strict Christians, and she went through a lot of, fighting and arguing with her parents, so she ran away from home. She met a Muslim guy, she became Muslim. I said, she's a runner. So now she's going through a trial with her Muslim husband, so she's going to run and leave Islam. So that's what she does. She wasn't firm upon Christianity. She entered into Islam to run away from Christianity in order to what? Hurt her parents, because she knows her parents want her to be a Muslim. So now whatever she's going through with that man, that husband, she's leaving Islam to get back at him. To get back at him, that's it. So if she goes to another religion, her Krishna or whatever like that, if something happens there, whatever she thinks is their enemy, she'll leave them and to go into that. And this is what happens. This is why one of the surahs to be examined is Surah Al-Mumtahana, the woman to be examined. Look at the conditions of of the Prophet accepting the Islam of the women during that time. Huh? They come to you, mu'minat, muhajirat, believing, migrating women, famtahinuhum, test them. Allahu a'lam bi imanihim. Allah knows best about their iman. Test them. But we left off these things. We left off these things. Allah made the condition. Allah yushrikna billahi shay'an. That they will not associate and partner with Allah. وَلَا يَسْرِقْنَا. And they will not steal. Whenever the social ill that's going on, if it's known that women do these things when they're coming to the Islam, say, hold it. To be a Muslim, you have to leave off this. You have to leave off this. And you better be a Muslim knowing that you have to leave these things off. وَلَا يَسْرِقْنَا. وَلَا يَزْنِينَ. They won't steal. They won't commit fornication. وَلَا يَقْتُلْنَ أَوْلَادَهُنْ. And they will not kill their children. Look at this. This was said back then. In order for a woman to make bay'ah to the Prophet ﷺ, she had to agree not to do all of these things. SubhanAllah. وَلَا يَأْتِينَ بِبُهْتَانٍ. And they cannot come with lies and rumors if they want to be a Muslim. What were these lies and rumors? We look at Tabari and Al-Baghawi and Tafseer and Kathir. The lies and rumors that those women used to do back then is so prevalent now. Buhtan in this ayah means to accuse a man of being a father of a child that's not his. How many shows since what, the 90s till now? You are not the father. You are not the father. How many shows do you have this stuff on? This is not new. This is not new. This is an ayah. She wants to become a Muslim. Then you cannot. In Surah Al-Baqarah, that's Surah Al-Mumtahina. In Surah Al-Baqarah, Allah Ta'ala said, وَالْمُطَلَّقَاتُ يَتَرَبَّصْنَ بِأَنفُسِهِنَّ ثَلَاثَةَ قُرُوءٍ. And the divorced women should wait 3 menstrual cycles. وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَهُنَّ أَن يَكْتُمْنَ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ فِي أَرْحَامِهِنَّ إِن كُنَّ يُؤْمِنَّ بِاللَّهِ وَيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ. And it is not permissible for those women to hide, she's coming out of a marriage, to hide what Allah has created in their wombs, if they really believe in Allah in the hereafter, in the last day. So now, when these ayahs are revealed, it means this is something prevalent. This is something that's being done. So now, when we look at our society, and people are saying, I want to become a Muslim, it makes us happy. But the problem is, ya ikhwa akhawat, we sometimes become too focused on the quantity instead of the quality. Wasn't a lot of people becoming Muslim during the time of the Prophet? He's the best da'i. There's not going to be no da'i better in da'wah than the Messenger of Allah. With that, they weren't crowding coming to Islam. 1,000, you see the brothers who are killing their da'wah with riyah. And today 1,000 people have taken shahada at my hands. What is this? What is this? What is it? Where are the people of Tawheed? What made you take a camera all the way to Asia, all the way to Africa, and we have to film every single thing that you do that's supposed to be the secular? It has to be on film. So then where's the secular logo? So now the focus is on quantity. But if we look at during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the best da'i, the best in knowledge, the best in character, the best example, his da'wah didn't have that effect. His da'wah didn't. The Quraysh and all of the tribes, they were racing to become a Muslim because of the Prophet ﷺ. So now we have to look, what are we really doing? So now here it is. People are coming in droves, but what? Not how many Muslims, what type? What type of Muslim? Is it the type of Muslim that when they enter, they're going to be a strength to the ummah, an example to those who have not embraced Islam? Or is it going to be the type of Muslim that come in and they're going to be a weakness and an embarrassment to the Muslims? That we have to keep explaining Islam because of their behavior. No, we don't take intoxicants. No, I mean, Muslim, we're human beings. He has us humiliated. We're putting our head down because we have to explain because of this openly corrupt Muslim is doing so much corruption that we have to put our heads down when we speak and say, no, we don't do that. I mean, he was weak. I mean, maybe he had a habit in the past, and this is how we look. We can hold our heads up when we speak up about this. Remember the ayat, Surah Al-Baqarah, another than Surah Al-Baqarah, Surah Al-Nisa. Allah Ta'ala said, وَقَالُوا لَن يَدْخُلَ الْجَنَّةِ إِلَّا مَنْ كَانَ هُودًا أَوْ نَصَارًا. They say, no one will enter into heaven unless he's a Jew or a Christian. تِلْكَ أَمَانِيُّهُمْ. This is their wishful thinking. قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. Say, bring your evidence if you are truthful. بَلَى. Contrary. مَنْ أَسْلَمَ وَجْهَهُ لِلَّهِ وَهُوَ مُحْسِنٌ. On the contrary, Allah Ta'ala says, Man aslama, whoever submitted wajhahu, his whole self, to Allah Ta'ala, wa huwa muhsin, and he's a good doer. Falahu ajruhu 'inda rabbih. He will have his reward. Whoever embraces Islam and becomes a good doer. Not embraces Islam, وهو مرابي. كل ماله من الربا. He's a person of riba. All of his money is from usury and interest and like that. That's not embracing Islam and being a good doer. Embraces Islam and he's a drug dealer. Embraces Islam and he's a thief, a gang member. No. And he's a good doer. And he's a good doer. Wallahu al-musta'an. So these individuals, they don't have any wala to the believers in reality. Nor do they have bara. And this is what happens when those who embrace Islam do not establish al-wala wal-bara. They still continue to have kuffar as their close, intimate friends. And so they continue to behave like a kafir. Speak like them, go where they go, listen to what they listen to, and everything else. And then that despicable behavior remains, and that person is not a good doer. And then because of that, as we mentioned before, the steps of going away from Allah, al-ghafla wal-ma'asi, the first two, heedlessness and then disobedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that person continues and continues. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save us from that type of behavior. Ameen. So these individuals don't. If we look at what is the definition of Islam? Who knows the definition of Islam? What does Islam mean? To submit. Linguistically, to submit. Let's take that statement right there. To submit. What does submit to submit means? This is, subhanAllah, look at the word submit.
Alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
To surrender completely to a greater power.
Nah. To submit, it means to surrender completely to a greater power. An example of that is wrestling or mixed martial arts, MMA. When one of the guys puts the other in submission, what does he do? Taps. It's over. I can't take it anymore. Have we submitted? I don't want you to take it any further. I can't bear what would happen if I didn't tap. Have we tapped? Have we submitted to the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying, I can't bear what would happen if I don't submit? With this reality in our mind, Allah ta'ala has a power that must be submitted to. Al-Qahhar. This is one of the names of Allah. Al-Qahhar. The compelling, irresistible. Compelling and irresistible. You're going to submit willingly or unwillingly. So to submit, linguistically, istilahan, qala ba'd al-ulama, the meaning of Islam, technically is what? Istislamu lillahi bit-tawheed. It is to surrender to Allah through his tawheed, singling him Allah out, and his rububiyyah, all of the actions that are specific to him. Uluhiyyah, all of the actions of worship and service that he's obligated upon us. Wal asma wa sifat, in all of the names and descriptions that he has made exclusive for him and or described himself with the epitome of those descriptions. Istislamu lillahi bit-tawheed. But that's not sufficient. وَالْإِنْقِيَادُ لَهُ بِالطَّاعَةِ, in complying to his commands with obedience. But they didn't stop there. They said, وَالْبَرَاءَةُ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ وَأَهْلِهِ, and to free yourself from polytheism and its people. This is the technical definition of Islam. وَإِسْتِسْلَامُ لِلَّهِ بِالتَّوْحِيدِ وَالْإِنْقِيَادُ لَهُ بِالطَّاعَةِ وَالْبَرَاءَةُ مِنَ الشِّرْكِ وَأَهْلِهِ. So, as long as the Muslim has not established al-wala wal-bara, his tawheed will be deficient. His tawheed will be deficient. Now, so they went to these disbelievers in mockery of the believers, and they confirmed with them that they're upon their path, and they remain upon their path. Allah Ta'ala then said, Allahu yastahzi'u bihim wa yamudduhum fi tughyanihim ya'mahun. Allah will make mockery of them and cause them to increase in their misguided blindness. The ulama mentioned in this ayah, Allahu yastahzi'u bihim fi muqabalat istihza'ihim bil mu'minin. So Allah will make a mockery of them, because of them making a mockery of the believers. Jaza'an lahum min jins amalihim, a reward for them, repaying them for existing. Example, أحكام المسلمين في الدنيا وأما في الآخرة فيجازيهم على كفرهم ونفاقهم وكذلك يملي لهم ليتمادوا في ضلالهم وطغيانهم فيبقوا حائرين مترددين. لا إله إلا الله. This is if you want to talk about mental illness or spiritual illness, this is a sickness, hypocrisy. So Allah Ta'ala will repay them for them mocking the believers and make a mockery of them. And his way, one of his ways of making mockery of them is because he allows them to be under the ruling of the believers in this dunya, to the point that they're deceived. Don't believe in Islam, but they're treated like Muslims, 100%. 100% they're treated like Muslims. So when that happens, imagine someone having a mental illness and they believe that they are a monarch. And then the people around them, instead of treating them and telling them, listen, you know you're not a monarch, you know you're not from royalty, that's not your reality. Instead, they begin what? Saying, Messiah, and they start, and they treat him like a monarch. To the point that this individual that's insane really begins to believe it, because the people are feeding his delusion. So because they think they're deceiving Allah, Allah Ta'ala allowed us to continue feeding their delusion, to the point that they're going to actually think, Yawm al-Qiyamah, they're safe. So we baited, we tricked Allah and the believers. But then what's going to happen to them? So in the dunya, they're treated as the believers, and this leads to an increase in their delusion. وَإِمَّا فِي الْآخِرَةِ, then Allah, and then as for in the hereafter, Allah Ta'ala is going to recompense them for their disbelief and hypocrisy. And then he's going to increase them, plot for them and increase them so that they increase in their misguidance, increase in their wrongdoing, and they will remain until their death. If they don't make tawbah, they're going to remain until their death, what? Confused and going back and forth between the believers and the disbelievers. At least the kuffar know that kuffar. They believe that they're kuffar. And they believe that they know, they announce that they don't believe what we believe. And it's clear. So at least they're safe from that confusion of trying to convince everyone. They say, I'm not a Muslim, I'm this, I'm that. But these individuals are trying to convince two different parties. That's like being spiritually bipolar. SubhanAllah. Next, Allah Ta'ala said, أولئك الذين اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى. These are individuals who purchase, look at the analogy, they purchase misguidance in place of guidance, or a very more intricate translation that they took guidance and sold it or exchanged it for misguidance. Like this revelation was given to me to follow the Prophet like that. I don't want it. Could you, you give me some of that misguidance you have, I'll take this guidance from you out of you. اشتروا الضلالة بالهدى. بالهدى. They purchased misguidance and they paid guidance. Their currency was guidance, and the commodity was misguidance. لا إله إلا الله. فما ربحت تجارتهم. Look at the analogy. So their transaction did not gain a profit. فما ربحت تجارتهم وما كانوا مهتدين. And they were not guided. Their business transaction, ما ربحت, it did not gain a profit. And they were not guided because of that. Our ulama explain. أولئك هم السفهاء. These individuals, they are the fools. لأنهم استبدلوا الكفر بالإيمان. Because they exchanged kufr for faith. They exchanged disbelief for belief. فما ربحت تجارتهم. So their transaction did not gain a profit. لخسارتهم الإيمان بالله. Because they lost in their transaction faith in Allah. وما كانوا مهتدين إلى الحق. So they were not guided. They were not guided to the truth. And the benefits that our ulama extracted from these ayat. من فوائد الآيات أن من طبع الله على قلوبهم بسبب عنادهم وتكذيبهم لا تنفع معهم الآيات وإن عظمت. That نعم من طبع الله على قلوبهم, from Allah sealing their hearts because of their abstinence, abstinence, and rejecting and because of their rejection, that no verse, no ayah, no sign will benefit them no matter how great it was. No matter how great it was, it's not going to benefit them because they refuse, they are obstinate. And that إهمال الله تعالى للظالمين المكذبين لم يكن من غفلة أو عجز عنهم بل يزدادوا إثما فتكون عقوبتهم أعظم. That Allah Ta'ala putting these individuals off, neglecting them. It is not for the lying oppressors. It is not because of Allah Ta'ala being heedless or unable, but it is in order for them to increase in their sin so that their punishment becomes greater with that. So when people turn away, to make it a little more clearer, when people turn away, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala turns away from them. He turns his guidance away from them. So when Allah turns his guidance away, their first situation is that Allah is sending his guidance to them. They meet his guidance with obstinance and rejection. So then Allah Ta'ala stops sending their guidance. People stop telling them about Islam, stop trying to talk to them. So now because of that, they are now void of any reminders. So it caused them to increase, and go further, so that the more they increase, the more punishment they deserve. Some parents, not my father, but my mother particularly, rahimahullah ta'ala, for an example of between the creation, would do that. Mother, when we were younger, she would do what? We do something wrong, she would warn us. I told y'all, stop, behave. We don't listen, we keep doing it. She becomes silent. It's not because she's heedless. It's not because she couldn't stop us from doing what we're doing. But she used to wait till the weekend. And we're ready to go out. Oh, the weekend. And then she says, no, where are you guys going? Remember you did this? Remember you did that? I told you to stop. You didn't listen? I know, everybody, get back in here and get the belt. When parents could raise their children in the days that parents could raise their children, get the belt on. She said, everybody line up. So now this is in creation. وَلِلَّهِ مَثَلُ الْأَعْلَى. If Allah is the most high parable. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says no. He wasn't heedless, nor was he unable to punish them, but he allowed them to increase. In other verses, Allah explains, in order for them not to have any excuse. Because you were given what? Respite, and which is another great hadith in Sahih Muslim. That the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah does not forgive the man who reaches 60 and doesn't give up lewdness. SubhanAllah. Allah Ta'ala does not forgive the man who reaches 60 and doesn't give up lewdness. SubhanAllah. If we look in this society, which comes on social media, you have people, are men and women who are well into that age and above that age, still partaking in lewdness and behaving like the youngsters. So this is, we finished page 3 and we ended on the 16th ayat. The next is page 4, which has 8 ayat, and it's starting from ayat 17, ending in ayat 24. If there's any questions or statements about anything that was said, then we can take that now. If not, we'll stop here, inshallah.
Regards to when somebody wrongs things that come to Islam, we have to give up everything bad, but at the same time, the shahada is so important, and more, of course, the bad things will be there in him. Slowly, can be. They say that you have to just accept, make him the shahada, and then slowly teach him, right, the bad and the good. So, but if you are very strict from the beginning about he has to submit completely to, of course we have submit, but there are some stages probably, right?
Well, as mentioned before, this subject was brought up.
Right.
The stages of accepting the legislation is over. That was for the people of Mecca and Medina. Once the whole Quran was finished being revealed, the person who enters into Islam, whatever he knows about Islam upon him entering, then he has to submit to that. Our interest is not a person simply saying the Shahada and entering our ranks. Our interest is what Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Baqarah, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu dukhulu fi silmi kafa. Oh, you believe, enter into Islam completely. Completely. Right? So when we look at Mumtahana, the woman to be examined, you go to the Tafseer of this surah, the wife of Abu Sufyan, she witnessed the Shahada that the men took, which was at first, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah, wa sama wa ta'a. It was that, right? So when she heard the women were next after the men. So then when the women took Shahada and all of that was mentioned, she said, Ya Rasulullah, khafafta, or kama qalat. You have made it easy on the men and you made it more difficult on the women. You mentioned stealing, you mentioned this, you mentioned that. So then the Prophet ﷺ turned to the men and made them make the same pledge. That they wouldn't steal, they wouldn't commit zina, they wouldn't, all of those things. So this was actually the people embracing Islam during the time of the Prophet. If we look and study Surah Al-Hud, or more particular Surah Al-A'raf, each prophet, when he came and gave his da'wah, he came with the call to Tawheed and also addressed whatever social ill was going on with the people at the time. Right? Shu'aib. وَإِلَّا مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ نَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ مَا لَكُمْ مِنْ إِلَهٍ غَيْرُهُ. Right? He said, and to the Median people, their brother Shu'aib, he said, oh my people, worship Allah. Indeed, you have no ilah worthy of worship other than him. And then he said, وَلَا تَبَخُصُوا النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُم. And don't depreciate the value of people's things. وَلَا تُفْسِدُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ بَعْدَ إِصْلَاحِهَا. And do not cause corruption in earth after it has been corrected. And he kept telling them about the social issues they need to leave off. Also, while embracing Islam. So, no.
For example, I had a friend of mine who was a Hindu cardiologist, and he married a Muslim girl. He's such a good Muslim now, but he admits to us now that I married her initially I converted to Islam because I wanted to marry her.
Right.
But after a few years, he's, alhamdulillah, such a good Muslim. He's memorizing the Quran. He's an excellent Muslim now.
No.
But so what I'm saying is should be at the time when he was marrying the Muslim girl, for example, and he said, I am Muslim, I am married. So should we? Well, we don't know what is in his heart.
Yeah, right? So that was
we cannot discourage him to become a Muslim or to get
no,
right?
No. So, but it doesn't mean we avoid telling him. For instance, if someone came now, they want to become a Muslim, and they smell like marijuana, then it's upon us to tell them, if you become a Muslim, you have to leave off smoking marijuana. We can't say, okay, maybe we'll tell them later. No, if you want to become a Muslim, then you have to leave off smoking marijuana. And we have to let these people know, this isn't for you to come into Islam. Do you understand that? Do you agree? Now, if they say, yes, I agree and I understand, and then do it afterward, that's different, right? Because what happens is that sometimes the issue is confused between what? That sins do not remove you from Islam and enter into Islam as a sinner, right? They're two different sides of the same coin. Now, a person that's a Muslim and commits these acts, we do not make takfir if they want to say they're kafir. But if somebody wants to enter Islam, and some people even do to today, listen, I want to be Muslim, but I mean, I smoke, I can't, okay, whenever you're ready to leave that off. Then because you're trying to make conditions on Islam to accept you. No, we put conditions on you to accept Islam. You're not going to make conditions to be a Muslim that we have to not speak to you about things that you're doing. I mean, I have my girl, and keep it real, we're going to be together regardless. And okay, be with your girlfriend, that's your ilah. When you're ready to worship Allah, then you can come to Islam. When you agree that you're going to leave off fornication, you're going to leave off stealing, you're going to leave off those things that you're openly seeing that you're doing. We're telling you as a Muslim, you cannot do them. You cannot come into Islam making it a condition that's accepted from you. No. So let's look at that now. It reminds me of the Islam of Amr. Amr ibn al-As. When he said what? He said, before he was Muslim, before I was Muslim, the most hated person to me in the world was the Messenger of Allah. Just to look at him, angry. He said, but after I accepted Islam out of my respect and reverence for him, I couldn't even raise my eyes to look at his face. He said, so I came to the Messenger of Allah and said, Ya Rasulullah, I want to become a Muslim. So the Prophet said, stretch out your hand. He said, so I stretched out my hand and then I pulled it back. So the Prophet said, Malik, or Mabik, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? He said, in order to become a Muslim, I want to make a condition. He said, what are the conditions? He said, everything that I did before is forgiven. And he said, oh, Amr, أَوَمَا تَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْإِسْلَامِ يَجُبُّ مَا قَبْلُهُ. Don't you know that Islam erases everything that took place before? وَكَذَلِكَ الْحَجِّ الْمَبْرُورِ يَجُبُّ مَا قَبْلُهُ أو حَجْ مَبْرُورِ يَجُبُّ مَا قَبْلُهُ. And like a perfect Hajj removes everything that came before it. وَكَذَلِكَ هِجْرَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ تَجُبُّ مَا قَبْلُهُ. And Hijrah erases whatever came before it. And then another narration, وَتَوْبَةَ تَجُبُّ مَا قَبْلَهَا. And Tawbah, sincere repentance, erases what happened before it. So we entered Islam, wanting that to be forgiven. Now, there's another hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, Man ahsana islamah. Then he's forgiven, غُفِرَ لَهُ مَا تَقَدَّمَ. Whoever enters the Islam and perfects his Islam, ahsana islamah, then whatever he did before Islam will be wiped away. However, if he continues on what he was upon before Islam, يُؤَخِذُ اللَّهُ لِمَا سَبَقَ وَمَا لَحِقَ. Then Allah will hold him responsible for what happened before and after. So, when a person comes into Islam, they have to leave off Jahiliyyah. If not, then everything that happened before will still be on the scales of Qiyamah. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Now, any other questions or statements? Okay, so now we'll stop here. And inshallah ta'ala, next class, which is next Monday, inshallah, we'll start from page 4, the 17th ayah. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.